Right, so we are heading in another direction today. We are not packing up and going somewhere, but we are unpacking and dissecting what I brought along for the trip. It's been 3 weeks on the road and the only thing that I really needed was to get a buff. So let's dive in.
Right, so this is the bike in its packed mode. This is basically how the bike looks when I'm traveling, minus me. Got 2 saddlebags, 1, 2, and then I've got 1, 2, just normal waterproof bags, and then this is a fuel bladder. The fuel bladder's position will change. I actually got that today, and then I've got my tank bag, and that's it. And I've got a backpack on. Obviously you can't see that now, but that is basically how the bike looks when it's completely packed up. Right, so for this journey, I've divided the things that I've had to take for this journey into kind of 4 departments, and kind of taking each department, applying to different people, different trip, and kind of started first off with the biggest amount of people and kind of digressed to the smallest amount. So right, let's start off with the first one, the garage. So this is the garage department. We strategically find it on this side of the bike to counterbalance the weight of the exhaust on the other side. This is plainly just to improve the balance of the bike and improve handling. So right, let's jump in and let me show you what's inside. So these saddlebags kind of roll like that. It's just to make it waterproof. Okay, so at the top we have my rain suit. This must be easy accessible. I've taken it out of its bag, so I just shove it in between the stuff. So just also what it does is that I can shove it in between everything to make it not rattle and loose. So kind of serves 2 purposes there. Cool. So that's my rain suit. We've got some spare oil. I actually just topped up my bike a little bit. You know, good to have a little bit of spare oil on hand. Right, then we've got Pandora's packet. I feel I'm gonna show you what's in this packet in a moment. Right, okay, welcome to Pandora's packet. So let's start off. We have extra buckles for straps. Probably useless or unnecessary, but I had it and I feel like this is more valuable to me here than at home. And then Pratley Steel epoxy. This stuff is amazing. I've used it on the radiator. Awesome stuff. Then I've got a bomb for emergencies, not to blow up stuff, to just inflate my tire. Then I've got a extra piece of cable. Got an extra strap for the Rhino Walk bags, just to clip into the top. Right, then this came from working on the bike. I realized that there's a lot of M6 nuts and bolts on the bike, so I decided to actually buy a few spares in case it rattles loose. Then I can just use this to fix it. Then we've got Pratley Steel putty, which I learned is different to the epoxy, so there's a difference between the epoxy and the putty, just be careful. Right, then I've got a silicone sock. It's an extra one for the stand, an extra spark plug if that needs to be changed. I serviced the bike just before the trip and I realized that it's a big hassle to get the old one out, but the old one is still more than fine. Then I've got a valve core remover, which is to take out the tube's valves so it can deflate it if I've got a flat tire. I can remove the cores quicker to completely get all the air out and have that sorted. So that is Pandora's packet. And yeah, super helpful little packet. Then we've got chain lube. Definitely something to keep in mind is always to keep your chain nice and lubed, especially when it's raining a lot, to keep the rust off. Then multimeter. Now I know there's a lot of people that are going to think this is utterly useless, but I have already used it. and it is just in general, not just only for the bike, just, you know, figuring a bunch of stuff out. This is great for that. Then we've got a toolbox. This is the main tool roll. I've got all my tools that I need to sort things out on the bike and just life in general to sort things out. Then we've got a stand. I don't have a kickstand on this bike, so this is when you have a flat wheel or want to lube the chain, just to pick the back wheel off the ground. Then next we have a chain cleaner. Now this, admittedly, maybe a bit overkill, but I had the space and I could bring it along, so I brought it with. Then we've got a tow strap, or just a general strap. Never know when you're gonna be in an emergency and someone needs to tow you. Then we've got a chain breaker in case the chain snaps and we need to re-link it for emergency. But yeah, hopefully we don't need this. Then we have a battery pump. This is amazing. It just clips on, you set the pressure, you leave it, it stops when it's at its pressure. Awesome little tool. Got a little stubby hammer. Overkill, maybe, but multi-month trip, this I have a feeling is gonna come in handy. Right, electrical tape, super important. And then technically not necessary, but I've already lost one indicator, so I bought a set and have an extra one, so if I lose another one, I've got one. Then this holy grail. You're in the middle of nowhere, right? And it's probably gonna be dusty and ground and stuff. This is simply like a little top to put down so you can work on it, put stuff that's not supposed to get dirty, things like that. You just put this on the ground and you've got a clean surface. And I've got a secondary one which is slightly smaller, but super handy. And that's it. That's the garage. The second department, we are going to be looking at clothes and personal items. Now this is very dependent on your trip and your personal needs. So I'll give a run through of basically what I've brought along for my trip. And it's just gonna be a reference point. It's definitely not the be all and end all. And as I said, it will be very dependent on your trip and what stuff you require for that. I mean, the season, the timing of the year, what weather is coming, that is all gonna influence this section. And as my trip is a multi-month trip, it kind of needs to encompass all these scenarios. So mine is gonna be very extensive. So right, let's jump into clothes and personal items. Oh, met a bunch of lovely people, super exuberant, and yeah, I think that's the nice part about traveling. You meet different people. They're busy telling all the trucks to blow their horns. Oh, nice. Anyways, okay, on to the next department. Clothes and personal items. Now, I wish I could just say to you that it's all in one bag, but it's not. It's kind of spread out through everything, so I'm slowly but surely gonna take everything off and show you where's what, and then we'll take it from there. Before I take everything off, I want to show you something that's been really super handy. So here we have these bicycle pods or whatever. I call them my speed pods because the idea is this is easy accessible. I put all my GoPro batteries in here. All the smaller stuff comes in these, and I've got one on each side. Freaking fantastic. I would highly recommend it. one down. This is my main bag for my clothes and personal items. I have one little thing that I've kind of shifted around, which I think works pretty well. So anybody who really wants to take a computer with, got a trick up my sleeve. This is where the magic trick happens when traveling as a digital nomad. My laptop, nice and snug in there. Let me give you a closer shot. Here is the laptop, nice and snug in between all the clothes. Definitely trying to reduce any type of vibrations, impacts on the laptop, because I can assure you that none of the design intent on this device was to handle lots of vibration on the back of a bike. Cool. So this is my bag for clothes. This is still part of the clothes and personal items. Got goggles for when it gets dusty. Right. Got headlamp. This bit overkill, but it's the one that I had, so I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna buy a smaller one, but it works. I've got the space. Right. Kitchen. This is my little stove. I've got a gas bottle inside. I can cook my food in here, and I most importantly can make coffee. Shampoo. Now this is standard Nomad edition. Food. This is in case of emergency, stuck next to the road, have to sleep over somewhere, didn't plan for food. Got baked beans, bully beef, and dessert, sliced peaches. Next, cream. I know this is probably a very luxury, but my hands are very dry. Then we've got sauce. We've got bathroom bag, toiletries. Cool. We've got flops, and we've got shoes. These shoes are pretty dope because look how flat they fold, and that's like so important. I've got freaking huge feet, so that's an added bonus. And that's that. Okay, time for the third department. So the third department is kind of more very applicable to me, as I'm a traveling digital nomad. This is the office. I'm going to show you everything that I've brought along to get my job done, and ultimately the biggest sponsor of this channel, my job. So we have charger, laptop. This is the heart of the office. Cool, so we're gonna put that one side. Then we have the office bag. Now there are a couple of few personal items. This is the camera's home. So put that aside. Right, so this is my jacket, and I use this jacket to I lay everything flat, and I put this jacket on top of everything. So it serves the same purpose of the rain suit, as just keeping everything in place and to prevent it from rattling and moving around as the bike is moving. And then obviously it's nice that it's at the top, because then it's easy access to the jacket. I'm gonna move on to the second most main element, my second screen. This thing is freaking awesome. This is really amazing. Second screen, the job that I do, really difficult to do it just with one screen, so a second screen, portable, amazing. Then we've got our office packet. In this packet we've got our 2 hard drives, which I've made its own bubble wrap casings, the wiring, the mouse. We've got earphones, and we've got a little bag with all the SD cards in, and we've got a port extension. So yeah. Another thing that I also do want to mention is that when traveling, like, these Ziploc bags are amazing because it keeps things together, but at the same time uses minimal space, and it's a super cheap way of making your things waterproof. I mean, this is essentially waterproof. If it had to start raining, these bags are waterproof, but if it does get through, this is like a second barrier for the water. Alright, so this is my charging cables for everything. So this is for my phone, the camera batteries, the GoPro batteries, the drone batteries, the GPS battery, the pump battery, these are everything. I've also got this like multi-port dock, which has 5 USBs, but in the case that I only have one 2-point plug, I have a cable for that. So that is that. Right, then this, so cool. Look at that. Portable keyboard. So admittedly, maybe overkill, because like I realized very quickly that I can just use my laptop's keyboard. But yeah, still very cool. Okay, right, reading glasses, need to see. Oh, this. Definitely, if you're working, bring your own multi-plug. I've brought one with 2 plugs, 2 2-point plugs, and the main reason for this is just if I'm working in a coffee shop and the wall plug only has one and I need to charge something, for example, or I need 2 plugs, then I can just plug into a single socket and I'm waxed. Cool. So that is my office and the things that I need to work. So for the 4th and final department, we will be looking at the gear that I have brought for the filming department. These are for the people who are either aspiring YouTubers or people who just want to document the journeys better. So let's jump into it.
This is filming. This is all the gear I've got for the filming. Got my drone, Ben 10, that's what I call it, Ben 10. I've got extra batteries, and so this is 4 extra batteries plus dual chargers for the GoPros. I've got an extra battery for the camera. I've got my phone. I also use this from time to time, and I want to show you a video of my camera. It's quick. So that is the camera setup, obviously also the tripod. Just look at that beautiful view. Wow, that's amazing. Then I've got 2 GoPros, loose GoPros, and I've got 1 chin mount and a media mod with the mic inside of the helmet. I've also got all the drone's extra parts. This is in fact the little house that it lives in. Ben 10 lives in here. So that goes in there. We've got a Bluetooth remote for the phone, so it just helps not walking up and down the whole time. And a phone holder. Super handy thing. Then we have the GoPro mounts. Just like to give myself flexibility in terms of where I put GoPros to get the shots. So yeah, that is all the stuff that I have full.
Right, so I realized there's still a last few things that I haven't shown you that kind of just slipped the radar in terms of each department. But yeah, I just want to give you a full view of everything that I've taken along for this trip. So I know I haven't shown you what is in my tank bag and what is in my backpack. So here goes. Alright, so let's start with the backpack first. This top section over here is my first aid kit. I've got a tourniquet, I've got bandages, I've got plasters, I've got painkillers, I've got a scissor in here, I've got emergency blankets, I have a emergency poncho as well, and there's a few little extra things in here, but this top section is basically my first aid kit. Then when we go down into this bottom one, here's the emergency poncho. I've got my multi-tool. This thing is fantastic. I've used it so many times already on this trip. I have a Wi-Fi dongle, and I've got my tank bags, a waterproof little suit stretches over. I think that is it for this. Yeah. Oh, wait. Lighter. Also got a light. Then this other section is just where the drone's battery and controller goes, and I've got a little microfiber towel. Then in terms of the backpack itself, the main compartment, I generally keep this empty, as this is kind of where I want, like in my mind, I see this is where my boot is, you know, when I go to the shops. But there's a few things in here. Nice extra plastic packet and packet like that. Got coffee. This is for me personally a must. And then I've got an extra little bendy tripod that goes in here. I've also got a hydration pack that fits in here. Yeah, just to be able to always sip on some water and stay hydrated. I think you can really easily quickly get dehydrated. So that's what's in the backpack. Right, then the tank bag. Let's look what's inside here. Right, so Ben 10 lives in here. Just easy access. I generally put my cell phone in here as well. I've got an extra battery pack with a phone charger and a Type-C charger. I have a cargo net and an alarm lock disc brake that clips onto the disc brake for an alarm, and obviously it's key. Then something this is my license disc. An extra license disc. I printed it out because the license disc is behind this luggage point. So if I get pulled over by the cops, I can say, listen, my license disc is behind this bag, but here's an extra one, a copy that I made so that they can scan it and check that everything is valid. Okay, so this is something that I designed and 3D printed for my handheld GPS, which looks like this. And basically this is a mount that is supposed to go onto the handlebars. However, the handlebars are quite low. So when I look at the GPS, I have to physically look down, which takes my eyesight off of the road, which is not ideal. So I designed this bracket that slots over the visor, and it has a screw. Yes, I had to drill a hole through the visor, but I felt like that was a small price to pay to not losing my GPS. And it basically slots over here. I've got 2 cable ties, and this mimics the handlebars. Then the GPS just kind of slots into there. I can adjust it, and there we go. We've got a GPS mounted with Tracks for Africa, and we are ready for adventure. I almost forgot about flat tires. So that is definitely something that I hope does not happen, but I've definitely prepared for it. So let me show you what my setup is in case that happens. So in the event that we do have a flat tire, I'm anyways going to take everything off the bike to make it easier to work on. So there is space under the seat, and there we go. We've got a spare front tube and a spare rear tube. Now I know that there's going to be some people that say that you can just take one extra, but unfortunately the ranges between it's a 21 front and a 17 rear, which is quite a long stretch if you want to stretch a tube over. So my thinking was, you know what, I've got the space to store an extra tube, so I'm just going to get the right sizes off the bat. Okay, so we've got spare tubes under the seat. Then we've got our tire levers and Allen key, 14mm Allen key that is required to remove the front wheel. We have that extra stand to pick up the rear wheel. There's also a way that you can do it to pick up the front wheel in that case. But yeah, we've got everything here, and the amazing thing about the fact that I stored it here under the luggage rack is that if I just go on an outride and don't take all my tools with me, I've at least got everything to a minimum to change my tubes. And that is basically it. That is a wrap.